Hey guys, Christina Wolf here. Welcome to the weekly card pull party and energy update. I'm a few minutes late because I was preparing my smudge here and took a little bit more time than expected. So, if you just, I'm going to give it a few minutes, see if anybody comes on. Got a lot going on with the energy this week. And well, for the weeks to come. And so I just wanted to kind of set the right space for this. And welcome if you're just coming on. Say hi. Hey, good morning, Kimberly. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to light some copal incense here and my white sage smudge here for all of us. How are you doing? Let me know how you're doing. How's your week going and how are you feeling? There's a lot of aspects, like I was saying, that are coming up that are ideal for processing certain energy, and a lot of us, I think, probably could benefit from it. So doing things intentionally, working with certain energy intentionally is going to be really helpful this week and for the weeks to come. Hopefully a few more people pop on here as I'm preparing my, this isn't necessarily the best, but I use, because copal itself is a resin. Can you see over here, the little rocks, if you're not familiar? And sometimes it can be a little bit messy and you have to burn it with charcoal and all that. So I like the incense because it's easier to clean up. And copal is a another purifier, like sage or angelica root. You can use for purification and protection. They have a little slightly different aspects. Oh yes, full moon in Pisces, yes, and the vernal autumn equinox happened yesterday. So lots of shifts going on here. Welcome everybody. Chris, Bethany, how are you? Good morning. And of course, let me know if which kind of card you want. We've got the Herbal Tarot, the Animal cards, and the Shaman Oracle cards. So as I was explaining, I'm just lighting up some copal incense because the resin is quite messy. Oops, as I blow up my house here. Cancel, clear, delete. Okay, we didn't say that. Yesterday I had a really awesome experience at my shaman workshop. I don't know if y'all read my post in here, but my mentor, Olga, gifted me some holy water that she collected from the grotto in France at the shrine of Mary Magdalene where she's buried. And it was just, what a tremendous gift. I'm going to talk more about my, I've been journeying, and Mary Magdalene's been showing up a lot for me. So I really think for a lot of us, the divine goddess, when we talk about the divine feminine, a lot of us don't, it's sort of like in theory, we don't really know what the heck that we're talking about. What does that mean? And I really didn't feel called to speak upon it because I hadn't quite gathered my own thoughts on it. And so that's coming in. And it's definitely in a an inclusive way. It's not, when I think a lot of men like to get really alienated when we start talking about the divine feminine, and it has nothing to do with that. In fact, I think Mary Magdalene was showing up because a lot of her energy is about her sacred partnership with Jesus, right? And how the two together is how you can create powerful energy. So more on that later, more on that much later. In the meantime, welcome to everybody who's just popping on. I'm going to write down the cards that you want, and And apparently I have to scroll myself because the messages all pop in here, like way below. Okay, so Kimberly wants an oracle card. Bridget asked me to get her an animal card because she's taking her daughter to college in Los Angeles and can't be here live. So yay, happy autumn. Yes, autumn. I'm going to talk a lot about the energy of the autumn equinox. And for those of us in the North American or the Northern Hemisphere, let's see. Anybody else requesting a card? Bethany, you wanted oracle? Okay, so I have Chris wants an oracle. Bethany, oracle. Okay, perfect. Anyone else? Let me know, and we'll pop in here. Welcome, Charlotte. Let me know if you want a card. So the other thing I'm going to do, because I did my shaman workshop, and a bit of our homework is opening sacred space, which I've been doing quite regularly, you know, and to get in the habit of doing that. And I encourage you guys to do that as well, because opening sacred space, it's creative structure and a place for intention and, well, protection if you feel the need for protection. Some people think that gives you the connotation of, you know, there's negative dark forces. Well, I think there are, and so I call for protection. So I'm lighting up my sage, and in working with herbs, the book, the Encyclopedia of Magic Herbs from the now deceased Scott Cunningham, he's actually, I believe, a Wiccan, and he said when you're lighting herbs to use wood, like the wooden matches, not like the metal thing. To me, I'm not too fussy, but I bought it anyway because I like the natural thing, and sometimes the lighters don't always work. So if you've never done a smudge, and I was told that if someone says they're saging themselves, that's not like proper terminology. The sage is the herb, angelica is the herb, copal's the resin, but the smudging is the act of purifying. And there's all kinds of literature on how sage actually is like a natural air purifier, like, you know, those sprays you get that clear out bacteria in the air. And so there's more than just a spiritual aspect to sage burning, you know, smudging. When I feel proficient, I'll be happy to share my knowledge of how to smudge your house and clean your own space. So in the meantime, when you're smudging, and I'm going to do this for everybody here, and you can do this figuratively along, as I was taught. Here's my little abalone shell here. You want to bring the sage over your head, the smudge over your head. And I always break up the sage. When you get like a huge smudge stick, break it up and put it in here. Because when you light it, if you keep it in the big sage stick and you light it, and then you put it away, and then you come back and try to smudge yourself, you know, the next time, you're sort of reigniting the energy from the old. So this allows you to use just what you need for right now and not carry old residual energy. I'm going to double check this messaging. Okay. Leslie would like an animal card. Okay. And I'm sure a lot of you already know all of this stuff, but this is for anyone who's still like becoming familiar with some of these practices. And of course, I'd love to hear your observations and points of view. Oh, yay. All right, Kimberly, cool. I'll see you in a little while. See you on the replay. Yes, a house smudging is really amazing. I need to still do it for my full house. I've done it for my office area, and I've used if you can get it bulk online. Selenite sticks. Let me see if I can get you one. I don't want to get too off topic here, but this is just in helping you set your sacred space. These are some bulk selenite sticks that I bought from Amazon. Now, anytime you get something from like Amazon or anywhere from the store, it's always a good idea to smudge and purify it, because you never know like what kind of energy was put into it, like the person who packaged it was irritated or whatever. This is also blue kyanite. Blue kyanite is phenomenal for any kind of throat chakra clearing. Blue kyanite is one of the few stones that does not ever absorb negative energy. So if you have a lot of hucha, negative energy, dark density in your body, blue kyanite is phenomenal, especially in the throat chakra, where many of us get clogged up because the heart's not really talking to the mind. It's not allowing, the mind is interfering with what the heart wants, you know, and you're not able to really get your will out or what you need to say. Another thing too, if your smudge goes out, you can always reignite it. This one's kind of, I didn't put too much sage in here. I don't want to blow up my house. Okay. I just need to stop saying that. Cancel, clear, delete. Never blow on the sage to let the flame go out, because then you're just like infusing your personal energy into it. So just wave over it. And again, bring it up over you. I personally will take it and do this over my arm. It's really hard to show you while I'm like sitting down. You can also do this with essential oils of sage if you're in a place where you can't burn or don't want to burn, because it can give you like a sense of, it smells like a campfire in your house afterward. Now, once you go behind yourself, you go around the body clockwise, okay? Bring it down. Be very careful. Sometimes these abalone shells can get very hot on the bottom, and the way you avoid that, or because it's a natural element, it can burn through if it gets too hot. I tend to put a little bit of dirt or sand in the bottom, kind of like a little campfire, and that tends to avoid the heat and melting through the pot. Now, if you ever smudge somebody, and I like to go under their feet, you don't want them to step into the smudge. You can, like, just tap on their foot and, give the intention of allowing the smoke to go under. This right here is my, what do you call it? My feather, for lack of a better term. It's a fan, and you'd want to help smudge somebody like that. You don't want to turn it down or anything like that. This is the native tradition, okay? So anyways, the reason why I'm talking about smudging is because this is how you help set your sacred space for while we're doing these card readings, any other kind of divination, talking to spirit. You don't have to get this formal when you're working on your own, because it's just you and God, right? But if you're having a group setting like this, I do it by myself. It can be time consuming, but if you get very efficient at it, it can take just a matter of minutes to smudge and clear your sacred space. So because I was sitting down, I didn't really fully show you that I went all the way down underneath, all the way down your back, and leave it going. Let it burn itself out, and when the smudge itself is done, you can ignite it if you'd like during this one session to burn out all the sage and not use, waste it. But once you're done, go bury it outside in Mother Earth. Don't throw it in the trash. That's considered very disrespectful. Okay, so all that aside, it's my little tiny smudging in Crystal's tutorial. Anyways, this week is really profound. A couple reasons, and I didn't realize I did this. It was actually maybe very intuitively or coincidentally. I do have my interview series about the healing from early childhood trauma coming out. The very first interview is on the 26th. What I'm doing is doing it on my Facebook business page and releasing the interview, which is a link to YouTube where the actual interview is, on my Facebook business page instead of trying to do it through subscription or email. But I will send it out through email the next day for anybody who does not have Facebook. And I thought that was particularly interesting that it's during the vernal or autumn equinox when we're essentially being called to harvest all of the lessons of our rites of passage, harvest all the work that we did over the summer, and then let things go. Really process, enjoy the fruits of our labor and let it go. So this interview series is my releasing, and of course today is a full moon in Pisces. Anytime you're doing something creative or you want to bring something to fruition, you can time it with the full moon, and it's always good to launch something, whatever, an art program, your business program, whatever, launch it on the full moon, because it's like the right energy of building up and then being ready, and then I always use the analogy of like your egg in the ovary, like kind of formed, and now it's time to come out and meet the world. So anytime you're launching something or releasing something, do it on the full moon. So a lot of us are feeling some real like angsty energy, and I wanted to talk about this. There's other aspects of astrology. I don't want to give like a full astrological report, but the one that I feel I'm seeing in a lot of very sensitive, intuitive people, and well, everyone at large who just maybe not recognizing what's going on with them, is this Venus in Scorpio. Yesterday or the other night, I think it was Friday night, oh my gosh, Venus was just like brilliant in the sky. You can see it here in Texas right at the horizon around 11 p.m. and just the brightest star in the sky. And so Venus is really prominent right now. So Venus in Scorpio, why is that important? Well, Scorpio is like all about the underworld and all about intensity and the death of things. And it's a metaphorical, metaphysical death, like letting go of something, or shifting into a new place in your life, shedding old skin. And so Venus is, of course, the goddess of love and relationships. And many people are experiencing maybe a reignition of their sexual trauma in their life. And so this is a profound time to address any kind of healing required or needed around past sexual trauma or relational trauma. And I'm going to read some of your comments in a second here, but I want to get this thought out. So if you're like out of nowhere just feeling really angry towards maybe somebody in your past who wounded you or is interfering in your well-being as far as like sexual trauma or personal trauma, like trust, betrayal, that sort of thing, this is a good time to dig into healing those things, addressing the sexual trauma in relationships, like even things like possession, jealousy, codependency, insecurity, anything relating to the intensity of a relationship, okay? The other thing is Jupiter is also in Scorpio. So what is Jupiter? Jupiter is all about expanding knowledge and speaking your truth. And so this is also a really supportive, good time to speak your truth on this. Maybe, for a lack of a better term, confront someone about what they did. And there may be a bit of like kind of that victim energy, which for some is a highly charged notion, but in order for you to empower yourself, you have to admit that the wound was there, to acknowledge it, heal it, and release it. And sometimes you're not going to receive closure from the other party. In fact, most of the time you won't. And so this is a process for you. Okay, just remember that. This is a whole process for you, speaking your truth. The other person doesn't necessarily have to hear it, because the other person is going to be looking at life through their own lens. There's that saying, we're all mirrors for each other. And so it's just one thing, like, don't expect the other to do for you what is needed. You're speaking your truth, you're getting out your story, and how they react is not going to affect your well-being. Okay, so just remember that. The other thing, I think I mentioned about, I'm so excited about this Mary Magdalene holy water, right? Mary Magdalene is also a fine example of the divine feminine energy. And what was she? Okay, I don't want to get too much into like the church and all that, but the church over the years, like the 3rd century, after Christ died or was crucified, the church had their Council of Nicaea, where the Catholic Church in Rome was created to then go over certain gospels, and they decided that they were only going to include a few. And at that time, that Pope Constantine, he decided he was going to make Christianity the church of the Roman Empire, right? And that became the silencing of the divine feminine. That's when Mary Magdalene was considered a whore. She became, nowhere in the Bible does it say this woman was a prostitute, right? But over the years, over the centuries, it became known that she was a prostitute that Jesus healed, drove 7 demons out of her, etc. There's so much kind of pseudo history around her as well, but that imaging of her being a prostitute was a very calculated step by the church to disempower women in the church. The other thing, if you get into the difference between like current Christian church or Catholicism and the Gnosticists or the Gnostics, they're considered heretics. They were people who believed in Jesus and his following, but did not follow necessarily all of what the Catholic Church wanted you to know. So just please educate yourself on this. It's really profound and whatever. But what I wanted to bring up all about that was Mary Magdalene in like the Gnosticism has a much more powerful role in her relationship with Jesus. And the myth of the whore, I would say, even though the Catholic Church created that myth, her archetype of being the whore who healed herself and became anointed by Christ is actually a very healing process. So a lot of you who maybe have shame around sexual trauma, shame around past sexual behavior, guilt, or whatever story you have, you call on Mary Magdalene for healing with that. Maybe you dishonored yourself in some way. And when you say dishonoring yourself, it's like you knowingly compromised yourself for relationship with another, okay? But it wasn't necessarily in an honoring way to you. So really about judging the self for your own sexual behavior. Mary Magdalene's phenomenal for helping you heal that. The other thing I wanted to share, I know not to shift from like a really profound, it's some intense energy this like coming up, and it's stuff that's private. Do this with your people, like Brene Brown talks about vulnerability. Do it with people you trust who have earned your trust, okay? You don't have to share your story with everybody, okay? Do it with people who've earned the right to hear your story, okay? I want to say that. And if you and actively seek out those people, okay? If you feel like I don't have anybody I can talk to about this, ask Spirit, please, like, show me, my people, show me my tribe, show me, talk about it here. The other thing, this is all encompassing in that Chiron and Aries. Chiron in Greek mythology is all about the wounded healer. Many of us are here because we feel a calling. We feel that we're here to heal others, lift up the world, be light workers, that sort of thing. But yet we feel like our own suffering is getting in the way. And I will tell you that this process of suffering is part of the wounded healer archetype, okay? Some may say you have to suffer a lot to be able to experience what the people you're going to heal have experienced. It creates that compassion, right? And so there was this really profound documentary on Gaia TV. I'm going to see if I could share it here because they're having like a special promotion where you can share Gaia with friends. GAIA.com, Gaia TV. And there's a documentary called Crazy Wise. And it's all about how in other cultures who are still supportive of the shaman archetype, look at mental illness and like maybe psychotic breaks or suffering like a major illness as almost a call from spirit to initiate into the healing path. So I think this is really supportive for those of us who are on this like journey to maybe become healers and to become, heal ourselves. The process of healing yourself is part of initiating into that of a healer, light worker, that sort of thing. So the link is called the movie's called Crazy Wise. There is actually a really amazing healer. Her name is Akaya Esima. She's featured in this documentary. You can check her out. Let me type her name in because it's not an easy spelling. Akaya Esima. And what she does, she ended up having, let me oops, I don't know why it's not letting, there we go. She ended up having like a psychotic break, and she found what's a South African Sangoma, which is another word for energy healer or shaman. And this woman told her, this is a sign that you're being initiated into the healing path. And so you can check out her stuff and her story. And I think that it gives a lot of comfort to anyone who maybe feels broken, needs a lot of healing, but feels this calling to help others. And so again, the movie is called Crazy Wise, and it's on Gaia TV. Okay. That aside, I am going to get started with a card reading now. Holy cow, that was a lot, right? Tell me how everybody's doing. Hi, Krista. Would you like a card? Let me see. So I've got, so far, Bridget wanted an animal card, Kimberly, Oracle, Chris, an Oracle, Bethany, Oracle, Leslie, an animal, and Charlotte, an Oracle card. Okay, perfect. So let's call in the 4 directions. To the winds of the east, we welcome you. This is air energy, spirit of eagle, spirit of condor, spirit of the winged ones. We call you and thank you for being the birth of our time, for being the dawn of our time, for being the place of springtime, the place of the rising sun, fire energy. Thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing us messages from the void, the place for which we all begin and the place for which we will all return. Thank you so much. And to the winds of the south. This is earth energy. This is our summertime, the time of our youth, the time of being in full bloom, the noontime of our lives. We thank you, Brother Snake, for showing us how to shed old skin, how to travel humbly close to Mother Earth. We thank you, Brother Wolf, the spirit of the mouse, and all the other 4-legged earth creatures. We thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, the winds of the west, we call upon this energy, especially during the autumn equinox. This is the fall of our lifetime. This is water energy. This is where we harvest all the lessons from our rites of passage. Brother Jaguar, we ask you to help us navigate the dark waters of the rainforest and snatch out any prey that we need to help us on our journey. We do this with integrity, with focus. We thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the place of the setting sun, the place where we release old things, old patterns, things that are not needed. We call upon spirit of whale, spirit of dolphin, spirit of the mystical mermaids to help us release old things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we call upon the winds of the north, spirit of our ancestors. This is air energy, the wisdom of our ancestors, the wisdom of inner knowing. Help us blow in that wisdom, the wisdom of the ancient ones, spirit of buffalo, spirit of caribou, spirit of elk, which is that of endurance, the endurance of going within and knowing thyself, and through the healing journey, that of initiating into that of a healer. We call upon our well ancestors to help us through this process, to show us the way, to give us identity, and we thank you, thank you, thank you. This beautiful winter hibernating energy. Thank you so much. And of course, we call upon Mother Earth, Pachamama. We love you so much. You hold us dearly in your womb. You give us life. You give us everything. We're so grateful to you for absorbing all of our troubles and giving us back selflessly everything we need. Thank you so much. And then to Father Sky, we thank you for being everything beyond all that we can see. We thank you for creating all that is. We thank you for being the great creator, great spirit. We thank you for the mysteries of the universe. Just thank you for all the gifts that you bring us, the rain, the wind, the fire, the earth, all these elements. We thank you so much. And for space, which brings us to our star nations. We thank you so much, star nations, for watching over us, for being kindred spirits, for going ahead of us, for showing us different dimensions of ways of being. Thank you so much. And I call upon my spirit animals, Brother Wolf, Sister Raven, Brother Jaguar. Help me to walk in integrity as I share your spirit's messages to these beautiful people. Thank you. And of course, our lovely spirit of Mary Magdalene. Thank you for the divine feminine and her beloved Jesus. All right, so I am going to shuffle the cards here. This will be for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then, of course, a card for the overall energy of the week. And first, a sip of water. I'm going to go back and look over some of your messages, too. Yay, you're still here, Kimberly. Woo! All right. Hey, Michelle, welcome. All right, Krista, I got you an animal card. Michelle, if you'd like a card, let me know. All right, so Monday, Tuesday, what do we got? Oh, some good earth energy here. King of Pentacles. Fire of Earth, okay. The herb is alfalfa. The King of Pentacles is seated on a throne of rock and is looking directly at the viewer. His robe of red indicates his ability to confront and deal directly with the needs and requirements of living on the earth. Patience, willpower, and understanding of how the world works are his talents. He knows the body is a temple for spirit and sees the material world as stage for spiritual growth. He works to achieve stability in finances, health, emotions, and in his home. So the reason why you're maybe seeking to resolve some of your past trauma or other issues going on is to build this strong foundation for yourself. And you're opening sacred space, you're smudging, you're doing these things to create self-supporting activity in your life to do the work. You're sowing the soil for the seeds that you really want, okay? He's goal-oriented and reaches for the heights of success. The king must watch that he doesn't get so fixed on his goals, achievements, and rewards that he forgets the spirit behind material manifestations, and thus becomes stubborn, selfish, resistant to change, and overly focused on material security. Something about that. Every time, this is a good example, me trying to start my business when it wasn't quite time, okay? Let divine timing take over for you. Don't force anything. If you have some things that you've started to address or heal or work through, give yourself time. Don't be too stubborn. Don't say, well, I should have been further in life right now than I am. No, everything happens in divine timing. So don't get too fixated on why things haven't manifested, why you can't let something go yet. Don't create a story around that. So alfalfa helps one to assimilate nutrients and material treasures. One thing I want to mention, alfalfa sprouts at the very beginning, at the origin, they have the most concentrated amount of its nutrients. Most people eat the full alfalfa, doesn't necessarily taste good, so people eat like alfalfa sprouts in like soups and on sandwiches and those sort of things. Just understand that the seed of something still carries the essence of the entire thing, okay? So even though you're just at the beginning of something, remember, it carries the essence of the entire thing. Let it unfold, let the energy, it's already there. Everything you need is already there. Just let it unfold, okay? So it helps us discover that which is of true worth and value, which coincides with herbal lore that attributes to alfalfa the spiritual power to remove anxieties about money. So I will tell you this, Venus is also the goddess of money, okay? Related to your second chakra, which is also where we relate to others. This is sexual power. That interrelated connection of sex and money and power, it's not a coincidence. So this is also asking you to examine your relationship with money over the next few weeks. If you have some sort of sexual trauma, you may find that somehow it's also affecting your identity with how your ability is to receive money. Maybe you're overspending. It's the same currency of maybe giving away your power, giving away your sexual energy to people who don't deserve it, or overspending. Consider that parallel. Consider that connection, okay? Maybe not applies to every situation, but I would say that if you're having, for me, I'm having all kinds of female problems right now, and I think it's my body's way of addressing interrelational trauma in the past that I'm processing and working through, and then also my money story. All those things at once, okay? So alfalfa is really good at helping you, helps us to see our talents and worldly accomplishments as tools for our spiritual reflections rather than as reasons to become more fixed and rigid. Okay. Alfalfa is used to help in the assimilation of protein, calcium, and other nutrients. Another thing, if you're having a lot of like sexual trauma, relational trauma, it may be really hard for you to receive something good. Maybe you're pushing away true intimacy with somebody else. This alfalfa here can help you with the idea of cleaning out the crap so you can start receiving the good. I always say, like, it's all about energetic hygiene. I had to make a lot more space in my energetic body and my life before I could manifest and receive good things. Many of us who have like relational trauma fear intimacy because it didn't feel good in the past. The relationships that we had weren't good for us. They asked us to give up the self. They asked us to give up what we know to be true for ourselves. And so in the process of relating, it felt bad. So now we fear relating with anybody in a good way. And so this is the wound that they're asking us to heal during this Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio. How we relate to others. It starts with our relationship with self. As soon as we start getting better at who I am, where I end, and where you begin, then it's safe to relate to the other. And then we can start allowing, by degrees, what we really want in. Does that make sense? Okay. So, carrying some alfalfa in a pouch will help both in the assimilation and reception of those qualities and tangible objects that have real value. Okay, what you value is entirely up to you. From such a place of inner security, we can remain stable and grounded without being fixated on past achievements. This is also allowing you to start a new way of how you identify yourself in relationship to other. If you stop saying, well, I'm not good at relationships, I'm not good at whatever, fill in the blank. Now you can be. Now you can be the kind of girl who gets a nice guy. Now you can be the kind of girl who makes a lot of money, or a guy who makes a lot of money. Whatever story you had in the past about who you are, you don't have to have that story anymore, okay? Let's see what we got. All right. And then, wow, exactly what I'm going to, okay. So what kind of card would you like, Michelle? Would you like an animal card or an oracle card? Let me know. Or another herbal tarot here. All right, so I work with the earth and all her gifts to see more clearly the manifestation of my spiritual self. This is a little bit residual too from last week where we were talking about so within, so without. All this stuff we were talking about over the summer, all the work we were trying to do, it's now going to manifest out in the real world. Like, I've been working on myself, I've been doing the energy work, and now the thing that will manifest in the physical world is going to pop up. So this is going to help you with it. And it's also cautioning that what you thought you wanted may not be exactly what you needed or wanted. So just go with the flow. It's never ended. Nothing ever ends. As soon as you heal this, you may have this other realm open up to you where you realize, oh, I have this to work on now. But that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of moving forward in the spiritual journey. Okay, now let's go to Wednesday, Thursday. Knight of Cups. Got some water energy here, and pretty powerful. Sarsaparilla, one of my favorite plants. Sarsaparilla is actually what they make root beer out of, because the root is what you use mostly. I think I've shared this story a few times. If you dig up sarsaparilla root, you can chew on it, it tastes just like root beer. Not that you'd want to do that. It's hard to find sarsaparilla plants, trees. Knight of Cups, but I have done that in the past, so that's why I mention it. It's funny how we get all these certain flavors, we don't realize where they came from. Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is the active, airy aspect of the water element within each of us. He is on a tireless search for identity in relationship to another. I love it. There's no coincidence there. His winged hat suggests the spirit of a self-styled crusader or messenger of the gods. He has a dream and he is actively in pursuit of it. He is unafraid to express his feelings, tastes, and visions to others. This is exactly, okay, I'm glad this mentioned this because, okay, when you're unafraid to say what you really want, then spirit can deliver it to you. But if you're in that like fearful state of, I don't really want a good relationship, because you're off talking in this universe and sharing with your friends how men suck. I don't want a guy anymore. Ugh. But underneath that is this really deep, profound desire to have sacred partnership with somebody. Don't deny that you really want it. And one of those residual aspects of relational trauma is denying that you really want something. Because sometimes in the wanting of something and believing that you'll never get it is a huge source of pain. So address that source of pain. Address, I really do want fill in the blank. I'm not afraid to say I really want fill in the blank. And then let go of the old belief that wasn't letting you have it, that was causing you pain, right? On the positive side, he can represent a stage leading to deeper personal commitments. But on the negative side, he may lose, if only temporarily, a sense of personal identity through getting caught up in the turbulence of immature relationships. When you're not fully secure in your ability to manifest and attract what you want, you start running around doing like seeking, striving energy, chasing energy. And you'll almost always run someone off doing that, or the thing that you want off. And you have to reach a place of maturity, of security within, where you can sit where you're at and know that what you need is going to come to you. This is like, for anyone with the abandonment wound, this is going to be supremely difficult. But when you get over it, when you do this, it's kind of like, this is a very basic analogy. It's like when you're dating somebody and they haven't called or texted. If you're in chasing energy, you're going to text them 6-7 times and look desperate and weird and crazy and maybe drive that person off. But if you're understanding that who you are and what you want, and that you believe that what you need is going to come to you, you'll stay an open, soft-hearted place and maybe message, hey, how's your day going? Hope everything's great. Leave it alone and then go do your own thing and trust that they're going to come to you. And you may find that, hey, they were working all day and they just were so glad to hear from you. And the fact that you gave them space to invite them in was just like such a more pleasant, positive way to interact with that person. Other than that, because you feel so much better yourself when you're staying in that state of faith that what you need and want is going to come to you. When you start getting into that chasing energy, that's when a lot of that shame around abandonment comes and the inner story. Trust me, I've been there. Okay. He must guard against moodiness and jealousy. Okay, perfect stuff for Venus in Scorpio. One thing I forgot to mention, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Venus goes retrograde, I think October 5th, which means that we're going to start getting into some snags. Right now, we're addressing this desire, this urge to connect with others, this urge to heal our sexual behavior or trauma in the past. And when it goes retrograde, there may be some feelings of stagnation around that process, okay? The difference, though, is, and it may reflect to us all our deep fears around our not healing our sexual trauma or not healing our identity with our partners, that sort of thing. But somewhere in there, I don't know the exact dates, but it shifts into, Venus goes into Libra, which is actually its home sign. And Libra is all about partnerships. So I would say just stick with it, go with it. You're going to go through some like kind of painful crap over the next few weeks. But at the end, you'll come out feeling so much better for it. Your relationships will be more improved. Your relationship with yourself, the ones you manifest in after the fact. If you really do the work during this time, you're going to feel a lot better. So it's not like you're going to be stuck in this really painful, intense place forever. There is light at the end of the tunnel. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so keywords for this card. And by the way, sarsaparilla is good for this herb has an unsubstantiated reputation of increasing sexual potency. It is not always easy to determine, however, why a plant affects people in certain ways. Sarsaparilla is primarily used as a blood and liver purifier. Okay, so it's also good for individuals whose digestion is weak with bloating, rumbling, or fermentation. Okay, anything to do with your digestion is all about your personal power, your sense of self. It's right where your solar plexus is the third chakra, right? That's why people with acute anxiety have like nervous diarrhea, all these things. If you have a disease related to the intestines, almost always examine your anxiety level and your sense of self. How and what is your intestines for? It's your ability to absorb nutrients into the body. How well is your sense of self able to receive nutrients from the outer world? Because the third chakra is all about my personal power in the world. Okay, so sarsaparilla is good at helping you build that up. When you feel good about your own personal power, then you can relate better to others. Everything's interconnected, okay? So, affirmation. I create opportunities to share my thoughts and feelings with others. All right, that's for Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. Okay. One of my favorite herbs, echinacea. We got the temperance card for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Coincidentally, echinacea is what I've been using to help shrink my fibroids. Okay. Temperance, ruled by Sagittarius, is an idealistic and adventurous person. Her blue garment is the yin, watery, intuitive self, and the red belt is the yang, fire element of action. The rising sun shows that a new life is unfolding. Okay, after you've done some, work around how you're relating to others, you start creating a different life for yourself. Its golden color represents divine light and the fire within that lets one dare to honor inner values. The solar emblem, this is what I mean, honor inner values. If you really want, deep desire a relationship with sacred partnership, own it. If you don't honor that and you're over here talking about how I can do fine on my own, that sort of thing, you are always canceling your message or your requests to spirit, okay? So, and you'll get wishy-washy. You'll receive wishy-washy. You'll receive the guy who's emotionally unavailable. You'll receive the girl, whatever your preference is. You'll receive the thing that isn't quite sure yet because you're not quite sure. You're not certain in what you desire and making those desires known, okay? So this is saying honor your inner values. Honor what you really want, okay? The solar, and get to know what you really want. Sometimes we don't even know what we really want. I had to dig deep and I'm like, why do I really want to have a business? Well, because I thought it would give me spaciousness. I thought it would give me a chance for more intimacy and relationships. Well, if that's the thing that you really want, go seek out spaciousness and intimacy. Is the thing that you think you want going to give you the feeling or the actual state of being that you want? These take some time to unfold and to really get to know yourself, okay? So the solar emblem on her brow is a sixth chakra opening, the third eye, right? She is receptive to the guidance given to her by those beings who are forever vigilant to the needs of the aspirant. Okay, your spirit beings, your guides, your allies, your intuition. One of the things in relational trauma a lot of people have is a denial of your own intuition. Like you knew you shouldn't have married that guy, but you did anyway. True story here, okay? This is, again, all about honoring the inner values. And don't beat yourself up if you tend to go against and compromise yourself because you, more than anyone, needs you to love yourself, okay? It's just notice, be in a state of observation. Hey, okay, that's a situation, that's a choice I'm making where I'm not honoring myself. Start small with maybe another example. Maybe you're on like a dating site and somebody invites you to go out, but you don't really like them. And you're thinking, in the past, they're like, oh, nobody's asked me, so I'm going to go with him. Just say, no, thank you, because you're not interested in him. Keep space for the next guy. That's honoring inner value. That's honoring what you really want. That's believing that what you want is going to come. You're not desperate. You don't need to take on this feeling of like, I'll take what I can get. And I know I'm using a lot of analogies as far as relationships, but this is also, again, relating to money. This is relating to, like, maybe you want to buy a car, but you don't think you can get the car that you want because you can't afford it. And so you buy the one you don't really want, and now you're pissed because you have this car you don't really want, and now you're stuck with this payment. You see how this goes. You trust that maybe your money will come forward in some way and become available, or the car that you really want will be there, and you can receive what you really want, okay? After coming through death, which was the card before, she is ready to experiment with her new life and is working on balancing the polarities within. Through trial and error and with intuition and logic, she'll transform energy into artistry. She is the union of the male-female water fire, sacred partnership. In her dealing with the public, she's learning how to temper herself through cooperation, compatibility, and communication. She's learning to manage her resources, to organize and plan. She's aware of what needs healing and is bringing more balance to those areas. Okay, so something else popped up. She's learning to temper herself through cooperation, compatibility, and communication. If you are in that state of being like unheard, unappreciated, chances are you're angry. You're dealing with people from a state of, for what I used to call myself, being a bitchy shrew. And you don't feel good when you're doing that. And to the outer world, you look like you're the problem. But really, when you're acting that way, it's because you're not honoring yourself. So rather than getting angry or annoyed that you don't have cooperation in your life, you can always go within and tend to your own feelings. A friend of mine said that when they were in marriage counseling, their therapist told them, when you walk in the door and you look at your beloved or whoever, don't look at their face to determine their mood. Look at your own face, figuratively. How am I feeling? How have I approached the situation? And 9 times out of 10, when you've approached it with a more open, softened attitude, you'll be amazed at how much you'll get more out of the situation. This is stuff I had to learn the hard way. I mean, I was really supremely unhappy in my first marriage, where I was always yelling and screaming and just like hated who I was being. And it took me years to say, you know what, this person's behavior is driving me to a place that I don't like. And so I don't feel good right now. And so I'm going to remove my attention from their behavior. I don't have to fix them. They don't have to do anything to determine how I feel inside. You learn how to tend to your own inner environment. You become in control of yourself, okay? And this is, again, how you're relating to the other. All right, so echinacea, the herb, that was more how you're tending in cooperation. You know, in the past, you could always be like, I don't like how you're doing this, this, and this. But does that put the other person on edge? And does that make them less likely to give you the end result of cooperation? So think about those things. On a spiritual level, echinacea assists in adjusting to change and in harmonizing polarities. Moreover, the cone top of echinacea creates a spiraling vision if looked at from the top. It is quite mesmerizing, very much like a mandala. This is indicative of the need to recognize the inner steadiness and guidance that is always there for you, even amidst the most disagreeable changes and turbulence. That's saying you get to be okay and secure inside. You get to tend to that space. Even if the person out, you know, circumstances, people you're interacting with are creating trauma, drama, whatever, you don't have to interact with them if that's what they're going to create for you. That's a huge shift that you have to understand. Like, when you stop realizing that you're not at the mercy of others' actions and the behavior of the world outside you, and you get to choose how you feel inside, then, you know, that's where you start taking on your own power, okay? Calling your own power back. Echinacea has been used to clear infections and poisons from the body. It bolsters the surface immune system. does all kinds of stuff. Aids in the production of white blood cells, used for all bacterial and viral inflammations. Let's see. Keywords is idealism, enthusiasm for new beginnings, blending of opposites, experimentation, and verification. So we're seeing sort of a theme here. You've maybe spoken your truth. You've addressed some, your trauma, confronted some people. You're coming into your own, honoring your inner values, and now it's time for you to reap the benefits of living a life true to yourself, okay? So, through artistry and daring, I create new visions for myself. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right. Eight of Cups. This is the energy for the overall energy of the week. Gravel root. I have to admit, I never worked with gravel root. Let me look this up. Saturn in Pisces. Okay. A person is embarking on a journey into the night. The moment has come when one realizes that further progress can take place only after the lessons have been carried deep into the mysterious night of the subconscious. Okay, well, so this is understanding that you may have to dig deep, you may have to go within, you may have to realize it's this thing that is really at the root of all of my self-sabotage over the years. Could be that early childhood trauma, could be your relationship that changed the way you looked at men, whatever story it is. You know what it is. You got to dig deep and go inward. If you don't really get to the root and you're kind of fooling yourself and letting the ego interfere, you're not going to get the benefit that you really want or need, okay? Such moments can appear to be a retreat or escape, though on closer examination, they are a way to coalesce one's powers. The card is under the influence of the waxing moon, signifying growth and expansion. Do not be afraid to leave old emotional baggage behind. This is a perfect week to do that. And in fact, all through Venus in Scorpio, I think between now until about mid-October, if I have my dates correctly. But do not be afraid to leave old emotional baggage behind, but realize the perfection in the lessons learned. New shores await you. Pretty much what we're saying. Do the work, do the deep work, honor yourself and what you really truly want, and then reap the benefits of speaking your truth and creating a life that you really want. Walk your inner talk, right? Gravel root helps to loosen up solidified emotions and feelings and allows them to be free-flowing and fluid. A sense of relief will be felt as this begins to occur. Many times when you're afraid to get into victim energy or that true wound, you tend to be in denial about how you're feeling. Oh, I wasn't abandoned, screw him. Like it's that sort of energy that needs to get broken up to really cry, let it out, let the crappy feelings go, realize, yeah, this hurt, it did suck, he was wrong, whatever story you had, and then move forward. Like, okay, now I've addressed it, I've really truly addressed it. It's not like this festering wound under my subconscious that keeps coming out every time a new guy shows up and I'm angry about it. I keep using these analogies about relationships, but we are talking about Venus here. But you get the picture here. So to enhance the process of loosening up stuck and solidified emotions, take the herbal essence of gravel root or carry some of the root in a pouch as a talisman. I always say if you don't have the actual herb, you can always take a picture of it off the internet, put it in your little medicine bag, or if you don't have a medicine bag, put it in your wallet somewhere that's close to you that you carry around the essence of it. You can write the word gravel root on a piece of paper and pray into its intentions, its essence, and ask for its assistance. There are many ways that you can create a talisman. Visualize yourself in the boat depicted on the card and feel the joy and hope moving within you as you leave the old shores and make way for new lands. So this is all about leaving old emotions behind, moving deeply inward to reevaluate the emotional situation. New shores are waiting. I acknowledge past emotions and make way for the new, rejuvenated self to be revealed. There's many good things awaiting you. Just you got to do the work Gotta do the work. Okay, that concludes the group reading. Put these aside. I have some animal cards here. How's everybody doing? Let me see. Oh, I'm glad you guys are resonating with this. So let's see. I'm going to give you an oracle card, Michelle, since I think we're getting good success with that, and you didn't really say which way, one way or the other. People are loving these oracle cards. And me too. I'm really enjoying them. But I have 2 folks who would like an animal card. Actually 3. So let me do those. Let me shuffle these real quick. Okay, so true story about my animal messenger this week. We had like 10 geckos or lizards like hanging out on our front door the other night. And in the past, I would have like been like, get them away. But you know, after I've been doing this work with like animal totems and messengers and power animals, I was like, no, obviously there's something here for me. The lizard is like showing up for some reason, and so I looked it up. Of course, lizard is all about dreaming and taking time to really make a vision for yourself. What do you want? And I think that has a lot to do with what we're talking about this week. You know, when we get past all of our wounds, what do we really want? What's at the end of the tunnel? What is all of this for? And once you realize you're manifesting relationships or things that you really want, you get to enjoy them over and over again. Like, life doesn't end. It's not like, you know, you're one and done. You get, you know, oh, now that I have the perfect relationship, what do I do? No, you enjoy it daily. You learn how to enjoy the process. Because when you're in a state of woundedness or trauma or whatever, you're always in a dissociated state. I don't want to say always, but most of the time in a dissociated state. Like, I don't like what's right here in front of me. I don't like my daily life, so I'm going to be detached and I'm going to live in La La Land. But instead of really being focused on manifesting what you really want, you're just reliving all the things you don't want. So that's what you need to interrupt, okay? That's the reason for doing this work, healing that old trauma, okay? So you can get out of being dissociated and thinking of that thing that you don't want, the life you don't want, and to be able to come into the present and manifest what you do want, okay? So there's a card for Bridget, Leslie, and Krista. Okay. Ooh. So, Bridget, you got the hummingbird, joy. Hummingbird, joyful little sister, nectar you crave. All the sweetness of the flowers is the love you gave. Hummingbird is northern air energy. It's what the Carol Indians say in the Quechua language, Sami energy, the light body. That, you know, when they call it like the unbearable lightness of being, it's hummingbird energy. Being able to flit around and just enjoy life and sip on the nectar of life, okay? Hummingbird is associated with a ghost shirt religion, which taught that a certain dance done properly would bring about the return of the animals and that white people would disappear. Once again, the original people would know the joy of the old ways. In Mayan teachings, hummingbird is connected to the black sun and the fifth world. Hummingbird can give us the medicine to solve the riddle of the contradiction of duality. The song of hummingbird awakens the medicine flowers. Hummer sings a vibration of pure joy. Flowers love hummingbird because nectar sucking brings about the reproduction of their families. Plants flower and live because of hummingbird. Hummingbird can fly in any direction, up, down, backward, and forward. Hummingbird can also hover in one spot and appear to be motionless. Great Spirit created hummingbird to be slightly different from other feathered creatures. Because of their magical qualities, hummingbird feathers have been used for a millennium in the making of love charms. It is said that hummingbird conjures love as no other medicine does, and that hummingbird feathers open the heart. Definitely a message here to be open-hearted. And soften yourself to receive the nectar of life. Without an open and loving heart, you can never taste the nectar and pure bliss of life. To brother and sister hummingbird, life is a wonderland of delight, darting from one beautiful feather to another, tasting the essences and radiating the colors. If hummingbird is your personal medicine, you love life and its joys. Your presence brings joy to others. You join people together in relationships which bring out the best in them. You know instinctively where beauty abides, and you're far, you journey to your ideal. You move comfortably within a beautiful environment and help others taste the succulent nectar of life. Hummingbird holds the bow of beauty, which is delicately inlaid with gold and silver flowers, pearls, and precious jewels. Hummingbird disdains ugliness and harshness and quickly flies away from discord and disharmony. One thing I want to mention, even if, you're like, I'm so far from that, the animal totems are there to show you the energy to emulate, to embody, to maybe aspire to, okay? If hummingbird has flown into your cards, get ready to laugh musically and enjoy creators' many gifts. Drop your judgmental attitude and relax. Hummingbird will no doubt give you a flash of the spirit darting here, there, and everywhere. Get ready for a strange new burst of energy which may send your senses reeling. Hummingbird hears celestial music and is in harmony with it. Hummingbird may invite you to an art museum or a concert. Hummingbird energetically embraces the highest aesthetics. Kind of like go with inspiration. Like, I don't know why, I just feel like going to the movies tonight. Maybe when you go to the movies, you'll run into a friend who tells you about this wonderful new thing that they've been doing, and it starts a whole new life for you. You never know. Just follow inspiration. Never be coarse in front of hummingbird, for this is a fragile medicine which may have no understanding of worldly affairs. Beauty is the target, and hummingbird's mission is to spread joy or to be destroyed. Hummingbird quickly dies if caged, caught, or imprisoned. Follow Sister Hummingbird and you will soon be filled with paroxysms of joy and experience a renewal of the magic of living. Just let that be your goal. Find ways that create hummingbird energy for you this week. Which may seem like the furthest thing from possible during some of this Venus and Scorpio energy. All right, this next one, that was for Bridget. This next one is for Leslie. Ooh, who did that? Let's see. Antelope, action. All right. Run, antelope, teach me of action and its pace. Quickly, quickly, so I may run with grace. When time was just beginning and the tribe of man was small, Antelope saw that the two-leggeds were naked, hungry, and in danger of extinction. The ancestors would soon vanish from Mother Earth if action were not taken. Antelope took action and came into camp, calling all the two-leggeds together for counsel. Great mystery, send me to teach you a lesson. The lesson is to do. Okay, let me say that considering all the other things we've discussed for this week, you can't just think about all of the work you need to do abstractly. You got to do some work, like physically journal, get out there and write out exactly, what you need to work on, what you need to release. Like, do the journaling. Maybe go to a meditation class. Maybe actively seek out a support group. Do something that's doing the work. Don't just think about it, okay? When I say do the work, I mean light a candle and create a ceremony to release old emotions. write letters to past perpetrators and burn them, or tear them up and throw them out, whatever it is. But do something that actively represents the process of moving through these emotions, okay? So you have no need to be fearful, and if you know what to do, and then you do it. Antelope said, "And what shall we do?" asked the people. "If you are naked and cold, you should kill me and take my coat to keep you warm. It is my gift to you. Do it." "If we will," said the people, "but what of our hunger? We're starving. What can we do to save ourselves?" "If you're hungry, you should kill me and take my flesh, for it will nourish you and make you strong. It is my gift to you and a part of my evolution. It is my service. Do it." Antelope knew that humankind would survive the ice age if the people learned to eat meat. Before the movement of the great ice mountains, fruit and vegetables had been plentiful, and the two-leggeds had had no need to eat of the bodies of their fellow creatures. The clans of the second world ate antelope. Taking the instinct and wisdom of four-leggeds into their bodies, the people learned, through each creature's essence, how to survive. They were taught never to waste or to take more than they needed. When they were in need, the two-leggeds knew to take action. Humans learned antelope's lessons well. Because of antelope, humans took proper action and survived to this present day. Antelopes taught humans to honor the gifts sent from great mystery and to avoid indiscriminate destruction of life. Antelope signifies knowledgeable action. Antelope is a symbol for the antenna of your hair, which attaches you to great mystery by its long cords of light. Looking at antelope, you become aware of your mortality and the short time span you have on this planet. So there may be a message here too, also, like, you're not getting any younger. It's time to really do the work you know you needed to do over time, and to use the tools that have been provided for you. They're everywhere. It's, you can take all the classes you want, but if you don't actually do the work, you can sign up for a ton of classes and free gifts and all this other stuff online. But if you don't do the work, like actually process it, take the time to assimilate the, listen to all the videos, do all the journal work, give time for assimilation, and put new action into action, then you're not processing it. You're not using the tools provided to you. You know they're there, you're just not using them, and then you're just going, oh, why do I still feel this way? Because you've got to do the work. Antelope can truly, knowing of death, antelope can truly live. Action is the key and essence of living. Antelope powers have been courted and shamanized since the dawn of time. Antelope clans have been many, and the power of antelope people is great. Antelope medicine gives you strength of mind and heart and the ability to take quick and decisive action to get things done. If you feel stymied, call on antelope medicine. If you're balled up and twisted in knots, antelope power will speak to you of proper action and soon set you free. So if you're like, I just don't know where to go or where to start, ask antelope, and you'll get a clear direction, and let it be, inspired action. It could be like, I needed to start taking daily walks, because when I'm taking my daily walks, then the emotions come out and I start really listening to myself and I get out of my head. And so many ingenious solutions to problems are whispered by antelope. Listen, and even more importantly, act. Surround yourself with the illumination and secret knowledge of antelope. Combine this with action and you will overcome any obstacle or hindrance in your path. If antelope is your centering tree and strong personal medicine, thank Great Spirit. Say what should be said. Your judgment is sound and your actions will be successful. Always listen to what antelope has to say to you. Antelope in your cards indicates a message of higher purpose. Antelope arms you with the bow of authority and forces you to act on behalf of self, family, clan, nation, and finally Mother Earth. Antelope says, do it now, don't wait any longer. Antelope knows the way, and so do you. Take courage and leap. Your sense of timing is perfect. When antelope has bounded into your cards, the time is now. The power is you. All right. That was for Leslie. Ew. Turkey. This is a card for Krista. Hopefully you'll... Let's see here. Oh, brother turkey, so freely you give of everything you are so others may truly live. Turkey is all about giving away. Okay, turkey is actually thought to be the giveaway eagle or south eagle of many native peoples. The philosophy of giveaway was practiced by many tribes. Simply stated, it is deep and abiding recognition of the sacrifices of both self and others. People in modern day society who have many times more than they need should study the noble turkey who sacrifices itself so that we may live. In turkey's death, we have our life. Honor turkey. When we do Thanksgiving, right? Spectators unfamiliar with the cultural phenomenon of the potlatch or giveaway ceremony are often mystified by it. A tribal member may gladly give away all he or she owns and do without in order to help the people. In present-day urban life, we are taught to acquire and get ahead. The person with the most toys wins the game. In some cultures, no one can win the game unless the whole of the people's needs are met. A person who claims more than his or her share is looked upon as selfish or crazy or both. This may be asking you where you can be of service and where you can give to essentially add to the whole's well-being. Hold on, I need a drink here. And maybe sometimes the process of going through your own story and sharing your story with others is giving away that which is most precious to you so that you can help others, okay? A person who claims more than his or her share is looked upon as selfish or crazy or both. The poor, the aged, and the feeble have honor. The person who gives away the most and carries the burdens of the people is one of the most respected. I would say that this applies to a lot of healers. Turkey was the medicine of many saints and mystics. Celebrate if you have turkey medicine. Your virtues are many. You have transcended self. You act and react on behalf of others. You aspire to help those who need help. This is not out of some sense of self-righteous moralism or religious guilt. Help and sustenance are given by turkey out of the realization that all life is sacred. And also when you do help others, Spirit's going to take care of you. It is knowing that the Great Spirit resides within all people. It is an acknowledgement that what you do for others, you do for yourself. Turkey medicine rests in true ego and enlightenment. Doing unto others and feeding the people is the message of all true spiritual systems. Depending on how turkey is aspected in your cards, you're being given a gift. This gift can be spiritual, material, or even intellectual. The gift may be great or small, but it is never insignificant. Congratulations, you may have just won the lottery. Or the gift may be a beautiful sunset or the smell of a fragrant flower. On the other hand, you may feel that the spirit of giving grows within you and wanting you to share with others. Turkey is also really good if you're feeling very drained. If you feel that while you're giving to others, it's draining you. It's showing you to tap into Great Spirit, that while you give to others, you always have enough for yourself, okay? All right, that concludes the animal cards here. Let me get into the oracle cards. All right. Let's see what we got here. Shuffle these cards. Let's see if these cards have become less jumpy. I don't know, they like to jump out at me. They're not easily shuffled. No, they're still moving around. Lots of energy flowing through this deck here. Goodness. Yeah, it's definitely jumping around. Okay. Okay. So, one's for Kimberly, Chris, Bethany, Charlotte, and Michelle. Let's see if any other cards or comments popped up. Yeah, you have some, Chris, you have lizards in your back deck. Yeah, they're, well, and in this like real wet environment right now because of all the rain, they're loving it. Okay. I think I may have set this all upside down, but it happened to me last time. And then I didn't trust spirit and I wanted to peek under the card, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to leave it as is. Okay. So instead of invitation, you got some medicine this week. So Kimberly, upside down the holy mountain. Native peoples around the earth recognize mountains as places of great power where one encounters spirit or where the gods or goddesses reside. In ancient Greece, Mount Olympus was home of the 12 main gods and goddesses. In Tibet, pilgrims circumambulate Mount Kailash to bring prosperity. In Peru, pilgrims climb the ice-capped mountain Osangate. I don't think I said that correctly. Or Sangate, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. To receive the starlight and bring fire to the earth. So the medicine is, when the holy mountain shows up, it's time to be active. Do not let your doubts deter you and keep you bound. This is a time to leap over challenges and to remember that from the top of the mountain, there are no obstacles, only beauty and an unobstructed view of the entire earth. And there's no need to go shopping for the right hiking boots or camping equipment to climb the holy mountain. You already have all the gear you need. Overcome any lethargy, indolence, and laziness, as these are the real obstacles. I think this is saying, from a very metaphorical standpoint, don't get stuck in preparation. You've got everything you need to jump into this spiritual journey. Keep going. Do what you need to do. And at the top of it is going to be great perspective for you. Because I know we always try to stay super prepared before we do something, but sometimes we can't overcome preparation. Being unprepared might be part of the spiritual journey. Okay, so now we got Chris. Yeah, I did them all upside down, but I guess for some reason there's a lot of medicine going on this week. Okay, the owl. Chris the owl. Let me look at what the owl has in store for you. All right. Owl is the master of the night. She can see situations with perfect clarity, more so when it is dark, and is able to discern truth when others are sightless. She helps you find your light and your lightness in the darkest moments of your life and to embrace the night as your ally. Owl can bring you messages from the invisible world. She opens your ears so that you may hear the voices of the ancestors, and you may acquire their wisdom and make it your own. So the medicine is that owl guards against self-deception and insists that your motives be pure and transparent to all. Remember, honor those inner values. What is the message that you're not hearing, the situation you're not seeing with clarity? So you gotta really dig deep to the root of things. Owl invites you to wait patiently. Bide your time until it is right to act. Then do so decisively with no hesitation or remorse. So, got a little work to do. And then if you're feeling indecisive about something, you'll know the time when it's right to act. Maybe speak your truth. All right. This one's for Bethany. Ooh, we're seeing this a lot today. What does the oracles have to say about the hummingbird? Despite being so little, hummingbirds are great journeyers. migrating between North and Central or South America to feed from the summer nectar. This gentle creature can be fiercely territorial to protect its home. Hummingbird teaches us to be gentle to ourselves and protect our personal space. Hummingbird invites you to embark on your epic quest, bypass the dung pile of old pain and hurts, head for the flowers, and learn to trust the calling you hear ever so softly. I think that's basically what everyone's being called to do this week. Bypass the dung pile of old pains and hurts and head for the flowers. There's joy beyond this healing journey, okay? Maybe a joy you've never felt before or never thought was possible for you. So the medicine is, this mighty being comes to teach you stillness and motion, and to trust your inner knowing that the sweetest nectar is assured. Failing to act when the moment is right can spoil your journey. If you feel your safety, comfort, or day-to-day survival are more important than saying yes to the invitation to explore the unknown, you will have to work much harder to achieve what is being offered to you freely now. Still your mind, even in the midst of your very hectic schedule, and heed the gentle voice that calls to you to test new wings. Yeah, definitely still your mind. Get quiet. Test new wings. I like that. That's for Bethany. Now this card is for Charlotte. All these are upside down. Interesting. Okay. The sacrifice. The sacrifice means to make sacred. The sacrifice is an offering of gratitude made from the heart, a feast of love prepared for spirit. In olden days, sacrifices sometimes involved rituals in which blood was offered to the gods. For example, in the Bible, Yahweh preferred Abel's sacrifice of one of his lambs to Cain's offering of vegetables and fruits. In Middle America, however, Quetzalcoatl, the Lord of the Dawn, came to teach that spirit preferred our songs and our prayers to the blood of humans or animals. So the medicine is, what is the one person or thing that you feel you cannot live without? It is time to offer it all to spirit so that it may unfold as it will. Do not cling to the old form or allow your sacrifice to weigh heavily upon you. You have sacrificed yourself and your dreams far too long. Now is the time to rededicate yourself to your journey. When you make sacred, you open the doors to infinite wealth. Do not delay. Wow, that's for Charlotte. So I'm sensing that maybe you have a relationship that was codependent or holding you back in some way, and you felt very attached to it, and now it's time to let that go and own your own, inner values and honor yourself. Trust what you need is going to come to you. You don't need what they're doing for you. You can do it for yourself. Okay. And this last card is for Michelle. The wind, upside down. The symbol of the wind represents the element of air. It rules communication, thought, song, and inspired ideas. It's also the place of our ancestors. Maybe get to the root of your family, where you're from, where that ancestral trauma is coming from. What is the story of your family? It also signifies change with qualities both positive and negative. The wind blows from each of the four directions, and there are different qualities bestowed by each. I want to say something about the element of wind. Wind is one of those things you cannot see, unlike fire, unlike earth, unlike water. But the wind has a profound effect on all of the other elements. On fire, when you apply wind to fire, what happens? You either blow it out or it goes, it makes it larger. Wind on the earth, sandstorms, whatever, storms in general, hurricanes, those sort of things. Actually, that's wind and water. Or just think about wind itself. It's the element that affects how you connect or interact with others, okay? And it's also about moving energy, moving, blowing out negativity, blowing out air. It's the breath of life, okay? So wind blows from each of the 4 directions. There are different qualities bestowed by each. The south, carrying a new sense of trust, helping you gently begin to discard habits and parts of you that are no longer needed. The winds of the south, right? The winds of the west, calling you to more introspection, to a willingness to make final decisions, to reap the harvest, right? To let go of attachment and ego desires. The north, moving to bring you wisdom and strength, that of your ancestors. The east, carrying clarity of vision and purpose, the bird's eye view. Whichever way the wind is blowing for you, the message which the wind whispers or shouts is a challenge. It may take courage at first to turn and face the wind, but you will find exultation in moving toward it and receiving its lessons. So the medicine for the wind is that when wind comes as medicine, you're being invited to recognize the value of chaos. Windstorms provide necessary chaos to clear the air and spread seeds so plants and trees can take root in new fields. Right now it may seem as if your world has been turned upside down, but this is a temporary storm that will blow over. Perhaps communication is broken down between you and another, or your many to-do lists are overwhelming you. The medicine is to simplify, slow down, course correct if you need to, and wait out the storm to clean things up. Just know that all storms have great value if you remain neutral during their course. Greater clarity and good things will come from it all. Remember, this too shall pass. Well, and maybe if you're doing this healing journey of, the sexual trauma, your sexual story, this too will pass. You're not going to stay in this, okay? Just needed to mention that. All right, guys. We almost did this for almost 2 hours. Wow. Thank you for staying with me this long. Let me check your messages here. Let me review them real quick. Oh yeah, all different mushrooms have popped up. Yes, owls. Hey, Stephanie. Oh, I'm glad, Bethany. Oh, good, Kimberly, you hop back on. Yes, rewind and listen to your card. I'm sure it was a good one. Hello, Janelle. Don't forget, this coming week on my business page, Discovering the Empowered Self, A Healing Journey from Early Childhood Trauma, my interview series. I'm super proud of it. I have no agenda for it. I'm sharing this information to help anybody who's embarking on their own healing journey, because I think the information that I got from all the people I interviewed is complementary to any kind of professional therapy or treatment that you may receive for PTSD, trauma, any kind of healing work that you're doing with a professional. So please join. The first interview is with members of my Soul Journey Sanctuary, Terry Earthwood Nichols and his wife Linda Vetras Nichols. We talk about their special CR process, which I think is really fascinating, and we talk a lot about how to reset your red alert system and many other things. It's going to be a really good interview. This whole interview series is going to happen over several weeks. I want to say over 8 weeks because I skipped for Halloween because it's on a Wednesday. So the last one will be November 14th. But each interview is a different way to heal through some sort of early childhood trauma. And what is the point? Why are we doing all this? Because when you have unresolved trauma in the body, it can make you sick. It will create illnesses. They've done studies on this. The ACEs study is a longevity study since 1995. And the people that they followed in that study showed that those who had what was called adverse childhood experiences, the higher the number of adverse childhood experiences, the more likely they were to get sick, to have negative coping skills like smoking, drinking, that sort of thing, and sometimes early death. So the consequences of not resolving early childhood trauma are huge for our well-being and our health, and so this is why I did this. So, and in addition to that, anytime you watch the videos, when you go on my business page, I'll be going live with that interviewer, the person that is my guest speaker, or guest speakers in this case this coming week. In the comments, we'll put the actual link to the YouTube video, the full video. We're just going to be highlighting and promoting the actual interview itself. So the interview will take place on YouTube. You can watch it at your leisure as time goes by. I'll be releasing each interview to the public as the weeks go by. Just a little aside, I am going to include a link to ChildSafe. They're a victim advocacy group for abused and neglected children here in San Antonio. We work very closely with them through the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. We have 3 investigators that are permanently assigned with ChildSafe. They do some really phenomenal work. Whenever we have like offense reports of sex assault of a child, those investigators will go and do what's called a forensic interview, and they will only talk to that child one time so that they can use that forensic interview for multiple agencies, so that child doesn't have to keep reliving that story. And then they offer support therapy for the non-offending parent as well, or other relatives in the child's life. So they're just doing really like awesome work, and they're opening up a new facility coming up, and so you never know what your donation can give to them. Toys for their facility. I don't know. You can donate directly. I have nothing to do with it. If you want to put in the comment section, hey, found out about this through Christina Wolf's Discovering Empowered Self. That's entirely up to you. I don't expect anything, but it's just going to be, to me, I'd like to pay it forward. I think they do some really amazing things for these kids, and hopefully what they get now will help them not get sick later in life. Okay, so that's my little spiel for today. Thank you for sticking with me through this almost 2-hour event, and love you guys. Bye for now.